Hey folks, thanks for watching my channel today. My name's Don, and my channel is all about fishing after the age of 70. Today's topic is, after a lifetime of fishing, here's what I've learned. It's real simple, folks. What I've learned over all these years is that I don't fish harder. Fishing didn't get easier. It just simply became clearer. And what I mean by that is when I was younger, I thought fishing was all about effort, all about what I put into it, how early I got up, how many fish, how many casts I made, how many fish I caught, how long I stayed out. I thought that's what fishing was all about. When I got a little bit older, I realized fishing isn't about your effort. It's all about paying attention to the details. Aging teaches you to learn. It teaches you to listen. It teaches you to allow your body to really become one with the environment. I don't ignore the stiffness that I have. It can't be ignored. I don't push myself into fatigue. I know my body. I know when it's off. I know when I'm able to do things and when I'm not. And funny enough, it's funny in a way, I still catch fish. I don't rush it. It's a lot of people think that fishing is all about being in a hurry, but fishing is not fishing is not about the destination. It's about the journey, and the journey can be a lot of fun. The journey can mean seeing that special spot. How many times, I mean, in my mind, how many times I've been able to just close my eyes and see that tiny little spot, that little opening in the vegetation, knowing that's where I was going to put my lure, knowing there had to be a bass, that was inside that little pocket. Same thing can be said for, those uh, sparse reeds that you see popping up. And, I might go along a shoreline and see bulrushes and reeds for miles, but all of a sudden there's two or three all by themselves. Experience has taught me there's probably a fish alongside those reeds. Now, why? Well, it's probably a stopping point as fish move from deep to shallow, and it's probably part of their migration route. And you know what? 90% of the time, I throw a lure in there and I catch one. I catch one because, the experience has shown me, has taught me that if I listen carefully, if I pay attention, I can learn from what I've seen, what I've experienced. And believe me, that's what fishing is all about. Um, I don't run from spot to spot anymore. It used to be I would go out and, I might have a dozen places that I want to go to, and I'd spend half my day just running from spot to spot. I don't do that anymore. I don't do it because I don't need to do it. There's no rush. There's no hurry. I've got a little bit of patience. I can take my time. This isn't a race. I fish much slower than what I used to fish. I sit down more. I don't stand nearly as much as I used to. And I'm willing to wait a little bit longer. For years, I can remember, I can remember vividly, if I wanted to get a bite, if I wanted to get a pickup on a plastic worm or wanted to get a strike on a topwater bait, all I had to do was kind of tuck my rod up under my arm and light a cigarette, because it seemed like every time I did that, I'd get a hit. And there were a couple of times I almost lost a fishing rod because of that. And that's, that's probably not a good approach, but it did work. And the thing that I learned from that, though, it wasn't it wasn't that smoking was good or bad for me. Uh, it was having the patience, because that bought me a little bit more time for that bait to stay in the water. And instead of casting it out and bringing it in, casting it out and bringing it in, instead, I casted it out and I basically set my rod down. And I let it sit. And guess what? Fish comes along and picks it up. That's patience. And that takes time to learn that. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, it used to be a numbers game for me. Every fishing trip. Didn't matter if it was a bass tournament or just going out with one of my brothers or one of my friends. It was always about, competition. It was always about who could catch the most fish. How many fish did we have for the day? A day's success was really determined not only by the size of the fish, but by the quantity. If we went out and caught 20 bass and had a couple of fish over 5 pounds, it was an incredible day. Conversely, if you went out and had to really work at it and you had 2 bites and caught one fish, it was a tough day. They're both good days in the water, but they were different, much different. And I think that I've learned that it's better to be safer and to be honest with yourself and to put out expectations that are reasonable. Now I quit before I'm completely worn out. I used to go to total exhaustion. Now I can feel it coming on. I know I'm getting tired. Time to quit, and I'll call it a day. I don't need to push it to the limits. I don't rush back to the dock. I take my time. My boat supposedly runs 70 miles an hour. If it does, I've never experienced it because I generally run about 30, 35. I get it up on plane and just keep it running steady at about 30, 35 miles an hour. It's not because I'm trying to be, not trying to conserve the gas. I'm just not in a big hurry. I don't have to rush home. I don't have a job to go to. I have a wife, but she knows I'm out here. And other than maybe wanting to get back a little quicker because I have lunch waiting on me, there's really no need to be in a hurry. So I'm not. And it makes all the difference in the world. This whole concept of, trying to hurry the process of fishing doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It did at one time, but today, what years and years of fishing have taught me is enjoy the moment. Enjoy the time that you're on the water. It's time that you may never get again. Those days where you see the sun come up or see the sun go down. Those days where you see the storms coming in, or maybe you're caught in the middle of one, where you see the wind kick up or the wind change directions. Days when, it's so hot you can't hardly stand it. And other days that are so cold you're wondering why you didn't wear more clothes. All of those days go together to help form memories and to help give us the kind of experience we need for the future. By the time you get to be my age, you're going to hope and pray that you've had, the kind of, I guess, fun. I can't think of any other way to put it. The kind of fun that I've had over the last 50 years, trying to catch, those little green fish. It's a remarkable hobby, and it's one that I've been involved in for a long time, and hopefully I'll continue to be involved in. So, what I've learned most from, all my years of fishing is enjoy it. Enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Because, it's not something that's going to last forever. Day's going to come when you're going to cast for the last time, when you're going to take the boat out for the last time. And believe me, when it happens, you may not know it at the time, but when it happens, you're going to miss a lot in your life. And my advice to you is, after you've been fishing all these years, look at what you've learned. And, at least take that experience and utilize it and enjoy the fishing and the fishing time that you have left. So with that, thanks for tuning in today. Just a short little video. Got to thinking about, I've been fishing for a lifetime. What have I learned? And that's pretty much it. I mean, I've learned patience. I've learned that, a lifetime of fishing is something that you have to experience. You can't read about it. You can't have somebody tell you about it. It's something you have to experience. So for all of you old guys out there that are, like me, getting up in your years and having a harder time getting out to go fishing, think back to some of the things you've learned, some of the lessons, because there have been many, and they've made you who you are today. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you would, give me a thumbs up. And, if you're so inclined and you're interested in hearing more about what it's like to be an old man and out there fishing, just subscribe to the channel. Leave me any comments you might have, and I'll try to get back to you. I wish you a wonderful afternoon or a wonderful evening. Thanks again.